It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We'd love definitely.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Boy, am I happy to see you guys. Boy, am I happy to see you. The Pete Sousa Show, we are live in Rochester, New York. What are we doing in Rochester? Well, I'll tell you in a second. But first, we'll tell you the Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovakics. We'll also tell you Crawford Austin Properties is on board. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, of course. Make sure you check in with them. If something were to happen to you on the road, and you think your insurance company is screwing you, well, Daniel Stark will get you whole. Also, can't forget about Socorro Family Ford. Socorro Family Ford is the absolute best. And looking forward to doing more work with them, especially Extraco Bank. We're going to do some more work with them this year, and First National Bank of Central Texas. This morning, we're going to be talking to Andy Burchham. No better time to talk to the voice of the Auburn Tigers now, as we are closing in less than 2 weeks away from Baylor's opening game, that home game. That I got a quick. We just got a quick note from Bear the Truth, right? Let's see. He's turned in his Cowboys fandom. The Bears. You know, this show is for you, Bear the Truth. Not only are we going to talk about the WNBA, but before that, we are going to talk about the Cowboys and the Bears and the preseason. But as I mentioned, Andy Burchham will join us in our third block to talk to us about Baylor and Auburn, a huge game, and it is coming our way. Point spread still has Auburn as a 2.5-point favorite on the road. Stadium. So that should be interesting. And I got a lot of real good questions for Andy. I want to find out where Auburn is coming into this game. I want to find out where Hugh Freeze is coming into year 3. And I'm looking forward to finding out the realistic expectations for the Tigers heading into this game. Unrealistic expectations are always placed, or I should say unrealistic or unneeded attention is placed on the preseason. Cowboys lost again, 31-13 against the Ravens, and they did not look good at all. Joe Milton in particular, in his 3 preseason games or 2 preseason games, his quarterback rating is a 61, right? He's throwing 54 or completing 54% of his passes. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, about 3 sacks, and he just has not looked good at all. Scotty and I talked before the show. I'm not saying, and I'm going to get into the preseason and the outlook and the reality there of what matters, but when you're missing wide open guys down the field, like this is the NFL, right? That's not a good sign for Joe Milton. Ultimately, he'll get more opportunities, but his window is closing. It's really important for a guy like Joe Milton to have a big preseason. It's not really important for the Cowboys as a team to have a big preseason. In fact, it's not important for anybody to have a big preseason. I this morning was really trying to, getting ready for the show. I was doing a lot of digging, trying to figure out preseason, right? What's the reality? Is there ever a correlation? Hardly ever is there a correlation between preseason success and regular season success. And there's not really a correlation between playing poor in the preseason and how you do in the regular season. We tomorrow night, when that Cowboys documentary comes out, I'm so looking forward to seeing that on Netflix. But I would bet that they will chronicle how in Jimmy Johnson's first year as the Cowboys head coach in 1989, Dallas went 3-1, and that was the year they went 1-15. Similar to the 2008 Detroit Lions, 4-0. They went 0-16. And it's not just on a team level. When you look at it on a personnel level, I mean, we all remember the year that Kerry Collins had a 140 quarterback rating in the preseason. And then in same year, 2004, right? He took the Raiders to the Super Bowl and they won the Super Bowl. Now, that never happened because his quarterback rating that year was like a 65, and it was the end of Kerry Collins' career. But his preseason was a 140 quarterback rating. You can look high and low, go deep into the crate. You're not going to find evidence that shows that these two things, right, are connected. So you might as well throw it out. What I can tell you is very concerning for the Cowboys. Is who is – guys, it's basic, right? Who is still not there? You still don't have Tyler Guyton, right? You still don't have him, okay? That's your left tackle for Dak Prescott. And you're not going to have him probably at least a couple weeks into the season. I mean, it's a fractured leg that he's dealing with. Same thing with Trayvon Diggs. You know, there's your cornerback, right? He's injured, still, we could say missing, right? That cornerback room is like a target-rich environment right now. It's going to have to improve before the offseason or before the regular season starts. They may have to actually try to find a free agent, try to pull off a trade to secure that cornerback room or to get it a little bit better. The Cowboys have played barely any starters in the first 2 weeks, and they haven't shown first 2 games of the preseason, and they haven't shown barely anything from Brian Schottenheimer's playbook. So that's good news when you consider how bad they've looked. But at the end of the day, if you don't have Micah Parsons, if you don't have Guyton, and if you don't have Trayvon Diggs, right, that is really going to hurt the Cowboys. And their offensive line play has got to improve this year. Again, they've looked really bad up front in the preseason, but it's the preseason, and we haven't seen a lot of guys who have taken advantage of the opportunity, right, when they've had it up front. So Still a lot of questions remain for the Cowboys. You don't want to put too much on the preseason, but whatever you're putting into those preseason games, the fact of the matter is there's still not a real reason to feel overly excited about this group. I don't know if you guys saw, but our friend Kyle Yeomans was interviewing Jerry Jones before the Cowboys game. It was down on the field. Yeomans doing a great job on the pregame show for the Cowboys, radio and TV. And Jerry, at the end of the interview, had kind of a clunky statement about, hey, I know our fans are looking for a winning team, and we're going to give them a winning team this year. That's important to us. He kind of was like, okay, we get it. You're paying attention. Thank you. But at the same time, it's like, isn't that the idea every year, Jer? Right? But I want to get into some more preseason stuff. And Caleb Williams is what I wanted to talk about. Watching him last night. Now, here's this is the flip side of all that. Okay. Caleb Williams looked amazing last night, and the Bears looked really good. Again, you can't correlate a 38-0 ass kicking of the Buffalo Bills on a Sunday night in the preseason to what's going to be, an enormous improvement for Chicago during the regular season. But you got a brand new coach, right? In Chicago, you have a retooled offensive line. The Bears spent about $200 million on their offensive line and defensive line together up front. So their general manager Ryan Poles went into the offseason. Is it Ryan Poles or Ryan Poley? Either way, a lot of noise has been made for the Bears, personnel wise. So that's a really good reason. I have it down here. Let me go to the pad for this, right? Okay, so they got Joe Thuney from Kansas City. That's an all-pro guard, right? The Bears did this. They took action this season in free agency, something the Cowboys really didn't do. They got Jonah Jackson, another guy they got from a trade. I'm sorry, and Joe Thuney, that was a trade from with Kansas City. Jonah Jackson was a trade, right? One of the best offensive linemen in the league. And Drew Dahlman, the second highest paid center in the league, he was made by the Bears this offseason. So those are three key pieces to an offensive line that allowed, oh, by the way, and this goes back to Caleb Williams now, they allowed 67 sacks last year. The Chicago Bears offensive line did. Now, that is second only to, I think David Carr got his ass sacked 76 times. That was an NFL record playing for the Texans. And my main man, Scramblin' Randall, early in his career, got thrown down to the turf, that hard, rock-solid turf at Veterans Stadium 72 times. So that's second all time. So Caleb Williams getting sacked 67 times last year contributed to a less than stellar season for a very high-profile quarterback. This year, Caleb Williams will have the confidence in a retooled offensive line, right? And you're playing for a brand new coach, right? A brand new offensive line coach too. But Ben Johnson is the story. And I think we saw some of that mentality last night from Caleb Williams, right? The confidence. Life is a confidence game, man. And I thought it was perfect how I think he went 5 for 6 on that first drive, that touchdown pass to Zacchaeus, and then he was removed from the game. That's probably the last time we'll see him all preseason. Now the bullets really start flying. Things really start livening up here in about 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, but we are 3 weeks away from. We'll be sitting around on a Monday 3 weeks from now with like reaction, right? To week 1 of the NFL season, and that'll just be unbelievable. So we're all looking forward to that. Got to get into Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. Now, Dillon Gabriel, you look at his numbers, right? I think he was 13 of 18. I wrote it down here too. Or I guess I didn't. I think his numbers were very similar to Shedeur Sanders, except for he threw a pick 6 and he fumbled, right? And then I don't know if you guys saw, you probably did. He was interviewed on the sidelines during the game, and only in 2025. He mentioned to the sideline reporter, again, I was in transit from North Texas to Rochester, New York. That is 1,700 miles in a car. I have a back problem. We were driving in a Honda Civic. That is Lex. That's her car. And she needs a car at Rochester Institute of Technology. So the big guy and his lovely fiance and her lovely daughter, who will soon be my stepdaughter, feels like my daughter already, hopped in the car and drove to Rochester. 3 days in the car. Okay. So one of those days just so happened to be Friday night and the Browns were playing, the Browns were playing the Eagles, right? And Dillon Gabriel, during that performance where I think he went 13 of 16, let's say, something like that. And I mentioned the touchdown, the pick six, but he had, the pick six, it was pretty bad. The fumble, not good, right? But overall, I think he had a solid debut, right? Dan Orlovsky was saying this morning, like his tape, he likes his tape better than he likes Shedur's tape. This tape was not good, though. The interview came when the sideline reporter was asking him, again, I'm in a car. I just saw the clip. Try not to overreact to the clip while I'm in the car. Part of that was my own emotions, being frustrated, being in a car. I'm 6'6", by the way. Yes, I am the best fiance ever. And yes, I'm a great guy. And I did not explode. Well, kind of, at one point during the trip. Everybody kind of lost their shit at least once. It was a long trip, okay? But we're moving in now. We moved in this morning. We were there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 8 a.m., getting everybody moved into the dorm. So great experience, whatever. So Dillon Gabriel, while all this is going on, he says, there people are, I think, competitors and people are entertainers. I'm a competitor. And Dillon Gabriel said after the game, again, only in 2025, after the game, the media was like, hey, people are kind of fired up about your comment on social media. Was that directed at Shedur? And he was like, no, it wasn't. People making the assumption that when he says some people are entertainers, some people are competitors, he might be inferring that Shedur is the entertainer and he's the competitor. Look, here's the deal, man. Okay. Shouldn't have said it. Kind of dumb. A little bit of a little something there. A little salty, I think. Whether, he walked it back after the game, said he was not talking about Shedur. I can tell you one thing I know from covering Shedur all last year in the Big 12. Not like I know the dude, but following him and his career, he doesn't care. I'm telling you, if Dillon Gabriel's like, hey, let's, he said I wasn't meant as Shedur will not care. I think that's one of the reasons why we're going to see Shedur be successful, because he just keeps it moving. I'm telling you, he rises above the fray for a young man. People don't like the way he handles himself. Some people don't. Like it or not, he's got a short-term memory, and a lot of stuff washes over him, and I think this is going to be another thing. Stupid comment by Dillon Gabriel, but ultimately a stupid draft pick by the Browns. You take a guy who's 5'11" in the third round of the NFL draft, okay? Do you guys know how many quarterbacks 5'11" or under have won a Super Bowl? You could argue, well, you can't argue. Russell Wilson, if you want to say he's 5'11", and Drew Brees, who might be 6 foot, probably 5'11". After that, right? So you got two guys in hundreds of modern day NFL quarterbacks. Two guys have won a Super Bowl that are 5'11" and under, right? You try finding more quarterbacks that have been successful at 5'11" and under. It's really difficult. We're again. I was a note-taking fool this morning. I have some. Let's see who else. Doug Flutie. You're reaching all the way to Doug Flutie, right? Like he was 5'10". Guys that are that tall struggle in the NFL. You're trying to throw over a line that's 6'4", 6'7", okay? You really have to run a lot of play action, a lot of rollout. You have to tailor the playbook for this guy and his size, right? You got to put him in a lot of space, a lot of quick reads, right? A lot of lateral stuff. So it's really tough to imagine Dillon Gabriel actually like cracking the lineup to play this year, right? It is not that hard to imagine Shedur Sanders cracking the lineup and playing this year. There's just so much more that lends itself to the debate that Shedur Sanders is going to be a better quarterback in the NFL long-term than Dillon Gabriel. And my argument really just to keep it simple, stops and starts with you're 5'11", bro. Like, no shade, but like, I don't see it happening. You know why? Because I got history on my side. I've got history on my side. So if Dylan Gabriel emerges, right, and somehow becomes the next Russell Wilson, who, by the way, should have won 2 Super Bowls, but he won 1, should have won 2. I know Russell Wilson's kind of like a bit of a weirdo, who people say he is, but the guy, look, man, he was a hell of a quarterback for one time in the NFL, for a time in the NFL. Not anymore. I actually think we'll see Jackson Dart sooner than later. He's having an amazing preseason, and that's a pretty good sign for Giants fans. Not a good sign for Russell Wilson. I think his career is probably going to end this season, maybe, like for all intents and purposes. But again, you really have to press to find a guy who's got the measurables of a Dylan Gabriel who had success in the NFL. So it is all Shedeur when it comes down to that, because Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, they're not, you really have to take the bull by the horns, man, if you want to be a guy that's 5'11" and starts in the NFL. You have to take a while to convince your organization that you are the guy, okay? Then said organization probably has to go out and find a different offensive coordinator who runs a system that will make you flourish, right? Because you're different. You're 5'11", dude. That's just kind of how it is. And again, this is not me talking. This is the ghosts of NFL pasts, right? And the whispers of NFL future as well. I can put it all on that, man. I have no real faith in that. I'm away from the studio today, so I got to peer down at my notes again. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. Oh, Scotty, let's just do this. This will be fun. So I want you guys to know, Scotty, just cue this tape up. I'm going to bring you in in the second segment. But like, so guys, I mentioned I'm 6'6". Some people say I'm 6'7". Okay. Friday afternoon, we leave. We get in this car. I just want you guys to see what we were working with for 22 hours. Scotty, no, this is me. I sat in the back seat for all of Saturday. This is what I was working with. Scotty, let's show them.
Days later, the investigation ramps up. The San Angelo police team up with the Texas Rangers.
My name is Sean Palmer. I'm a retired Texas Ranger. I joined the investigation with the Tom Green County Sheriff's Department and San Angelo Police Department. It's kind of a task force.
I thought I cut that last part off, but hey, it is what it is, right? We made it, and it's what. Let me tell you one more thing too, okay? It definitely has made already, dude. Let me tell you this one. So we were at lunch yesterday, and I'll show you this. So we go to lunch, right? They have like like orientation, like a quick seminar. And I got this. Lex gave me this. Look at this. It says, you can't see it because it's going to be proud RIT dad, right? She gave me this pin. So we're sitting there at lunch. And now here's the guy, the hardcore guy that was in the back seat that tries to act tough, right? We're sitting there at lunch and she gives me that pin. Dude, I haven't cried in like, I don't even know. I started to cry. I was like, what is happening? I almost wanted to go to the bathroom. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't stop it. But yeah, I got emotional and I feel closer with her. And really, when you get out of a car after 24 hours, you're basically like a survivor of a shipwreck. And when you get out of that shipwreck, you look at your passengers on the shipwreck who have survived with you, and you're kind of like, so I'll never do this again, but I've never been closer to my fiance, Christy, who I love so much, and her daughter, Lex, who I love so much. We're going to take a break. I love Sophie Cunningham, right? Come on. I kind of got this as like on a lark a couple weeks ago or a month ago when she was red hot. But yeah, we got to talk about her and some of the refs in the WNBA, what's going on there. And then we're going to do, Scotty and I are going to look at the odds for Big 12 teams. And we're going to tell you who's going to win the Big 12. And we're also going to tell you maybe who looks good, right? Who, if you are a betting man or woman, you might want to wager a couple shekels on, right? The Pete Sousa Show. We are live from Rochester, New York. We will be back after a short break. Hopefully somebody doesn't come into the room and break me off because I'm being pretty loud in here. But yeah, and of course, we're talking Baylor Auburn with Andy Burchham, the voice of the Tigers, in our final block. We'll be right back after this message.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. Looking something up here real quick to support us in this next segment here. All right, so I do want to talk about Sophie Cunningham and her injury yesterday. We don't know what it is, what the deal is, like as far as like how serious it is. I'll scratch down to make this work, right? But the fact of the matter is she had become the second most popular player in the WNBA behind Caitlin Clark. At least that's what my algorithm says. So here's a couple questions I have that I really can't answer. We'll call them unanswerable questions right now. Okay. Sophie Cunningham goes down. She had been, first of all, the opportunity to get to know this person has been like fantastic for anyone that's a fan because she's just kind of meat and potatoes, but she's also got like that appeal to her, right? And she's got that confidence. She's got that it factor. She really does. And the way that she handles herself, she's not as cautious with the media. Like if you watch her podcast, like she's very, she just is authentic and she doesn't care what people think about what she says. And I think she's a great example of what somebody who has like great character, right? When they handle themselves as themselves, you can actually be yourself all the time if you're someone of high character. And I think that is who she has become. And I would hate to see this injury be devastating because the Fever is playing pretty well and they're doing it all without Caitlin Clark. And it's ironic that I think they had lost 2 games to like bottom feeders before they beat the Connecticut Sun yesterday. They came back from down 20 and they won the game. So really good work by them yesterday to win the game. But without Sophie Cunningham, I think they're going to be hard pressed to make some noise late in the season. They've had a lot of different players go down and get injured. Caitlin Clark, of course, one of them. Now there is a possibility that everyone kind of gets well and comes back in about, 3 weeks or a month to be ready for the WNBA playoffs and the Fever make a run. Either way, here's the main story, okay? It is August 18th, and there is a lot to talk about. There is a lot of interesting stuff going on now as we ramp up for the college football season, week 0. I can't wait. This may be the last time we talk about the WNBA, by the way, much to the delight of some of you who give me a hard time for talking about it. But we're talking about it now, and it's all over the place. Like, do you know how many points Sophie Cunningham averages? It's like 7.5, I think. She plays like 26 minutes a game, but it just shows how personalities can grab hold of society and pop culture and sort of create room, right, for whether it's the WNBA or something else. Personalities drive stuff, man. Marketing drives stuff. The WNBA, the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham herself have done a really good job this year of driving their product, even with their, golden goose, Caitlin Clark, going down. So, like, I hope Sophie Cunningham's okay. And I don't know how algorithms work. I don't ever complain. Like I'm never going to tell you I'm that smart, but it is interesting how she's constantly showing up on mine. Maybe that says something about me. I'm about to be happily married, so don't get any ideas. All right, let's talk about the Big 12. Actually, first, Scotty, can you make yourself seen, please? I have a question for you. I'm going to ask this to Andy Burchham here in a couple minutes, and I want your take on this. Now, this is going to take you back in the time machine, young fella. You may be hard. This may be tough for you. So we all remember Brian Bosworth and Bo Jackson, right? Bo Jackson runs over Bosworth. Not really, but whatever. It was way overrated. I'm a big Bos guy. But I ask you this question, okay? Bo Jackson, obviously, Heisman Trophy winner at Auburn, probably one of the most sensational, you talk about alluring personalities and athletes of all time. Now, if Bo Jackson in his prime is barreling, or should I say racing, or whatever the hell he was, just like a superhero headed for the end zone, and he meets, instead of Brian Bosworth, he meets Mike Singletary in his prime, Baylor grad, Auburn Baylor primer already. Who wins that battle? Who wins it, Scotty?
Pete, I'm on the record of saying I think Bo Jackson is the single athlete I wish I could take injury away from because I believe in so much and how good he was. But in college, if that's the case, Mike Singletary is stuffing that hole. You know it. There's no chance. No chance. That man regularly had 25 to 30 tackles per game.
This is why I came to you for
I can't even get my head around it. Mike Singletary has the most tackles. It's not an official NCAA record because it's before they officially kept up with tackling statistics. But according to the statistics that were kept at the time, there is no greater tackler in college football history than Mike Singletary. We're literally talking about the GOAT at tackling specifically. I'm going to put my money on that guy.
Bear the Truth, by the way, chimes in. So I forget it, but he used to break his helmets a lot. I did not know that.
He said like a record. Yeah, Grant Taft was talking about like multiple per week.
Really?
Yeah. There's like a good Grant Taft clip out there about talking.
By the way, these are two guys too who I always want to say I read. I listened to the Bo Jackson biography, the Jeff Pearlman one, just two years ago, and he is one of those guys, much like Mike Singletary, from the era of, did you hear about this?
Yeah, right.
Like Bo Jackson and Mike Singletary are both, and we can't do that. We can't do that anymore because everything is captured.
Right.
But they were like myths, you know?
Well, and that's part of why, if you're talking about guys that played back in the older days, they could still compete at the level today because athletic performance, nutrition, these things have gotten better. Athletes now are, generally speaking, bigger, faster, stronger. Those are two men that could absolutely compete in any era. I don't care. You get Mike Singletary or Bo Jackson today's luxuries of the physical therapy and the workouts and the saunas and all those amenities guys have. Oh my God. Can you imagine Mike Singletary on a weight room program today?
Particularly both of those guys, by the way, were they took pretty good care of themselves.
They did.
Like neither one of them was like a drinker.
They still do, by the way.
Yeah, I know they still do. Dude, I told you this. Bo Jackson came to that Baylor-Cincinnati game that I was calling this year.
Yes, basketball.
And nobody knew he was there.
Right.
At the end of the game, I saw the next morning online. I'm like, are you shitting me? We had Bo Jackson at a game. Like, that's my childhood, sitting courtside with Chip Gaines. And nobody on the ESPN crew, myself included, noticed it.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody from Baylor, God bless them, told us, which would have been nice. But, I wasn't going to run over there, try to interview him. We could have just mentioned it, but whatever. So, by the way, how you doing? Did you have a good weekend?
It was a very full weekend. I worked at the restaurant every day. Got to spend some quality time with my little girl. My little sister graduated with her master's from Baylor.
Whoa, masters!
That's right. Did a little celebration. So it was a full weekend.
All right, let's check out the Big 12. I want to find out who you think, when we look at these odds, if you can bring them up, who your best bet is right now. Like if you could have, let's look at, who we believe could win the Big 12 and also who we believe could be a great bet to win the Big 12. I'm gonna allow you to do a little predicting. They want me to get so here's I'm getting text messages, by the way. They're moving into this room right now. So I need to get a mallet for the room, and I need to have it there by 11:30. So this is like urgent now. 11:30 Eastern time, which is a half hour. No, I guess 11:30 Central. Can you get these up?
You're stalling for me. I had forgotten to download the graphic. It's downloading right now. You're doing a great job stalling.
So how about, is Andy Burchham ready? I can fill forever, but he's supposed to be 10:38. That's 2 minutes.
He's not in here yet.
Okay.
There's your odds. There's your odds.
He is good. Okay. So I think this is important because, again, I always talk about odds makers, and we have the old slogan, and it's a slogan because it's true. There's a reason why there are those huge buildings in Vegas, right? The house wins most of the time. So here's what they said. Texas Tech is your favorite to win the Big 12 with Utah, tied with Utah. After that, we see Kansas State, Arizona State. You've got Baylor, not far behind. TCU, Iowa State, dude. Iowa State plus 1,200. That one jumps out at me. And then you have, I think, BYU. This Bear Bachmeier noise is exciting because if that dude's the real deal, I think BYU, you put them right back where they were last year, and you hold your breath if you're the rest of the Big 12. UCF at the bottom. Oklahoma State. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but that's way low for Mike Gundy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Utah, they're just stealing people's money. That's unfortunate for anybody that's putting money on that. They're just making those odds really pretty
What
for
about
all
Evan
those folks
Dampier?
up there. What about who?
Evan Dampier.
Devin Dampier was not as good at that level as DeQuan Finn was, and we all know how that worked out. I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1, but I'm saying that dude throws a lot of picks and has not proven he can operate in a Power 4 conference. It's just a question mark. It's a question mark, Pete. I think I told you, Utah could finish top 3 or bottom 3 in the league, and neither would surprise me. So I wouldn't put money there. I think I agree with Bear the Truth, and I think your reaction, Pete, as well, says a lot. I think easily the best bet on this board is Iowa State plus 1,200.
Wow.
I don't know what they know that we don't know. Shahan Jayaraja last week when I talked to him about this did pour a little water on my Iowa State take. He thinks they're going to regress. Obviously, Vegas might think they're going to regress, but I was very surprised. That's a very, and I don't know where that graphic just went. Hold up. There we go. That's a very, very favorable bet. If you want to go Iowa State, I think BYU is probably good. I will tell you though, Pete, UCF has the same odds to win the Big 12 championship as Sawyer Robertson does to win the Heisman. And I think the second bet I just named is not a bad play at this point.
Dude, it's better than UCF to win.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's circle Iowa State, and we'll come back and check on this at the end of the year. But again, hosting Inside the 12 and calling games, I'm not going to sit here and say run to the betting booth, but I will say that looks pretty interesting. All right, I think our good friend Andy Burchham is ready to go. I even get the alerts now that Andy Burchham is in the studio. Does that mean I'm getting promoted, Scotty? Because I saw that. There he is, the voice of the Tigers, Andy. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
My pleasure. My pleasure to be with you today, guys.
Oh, we are looking forward to having you in Waco, Texas now, just a couple weeks from today. I mean, less than a couple weeks. I have a question for you before we start. This is a fun one, okay? Because you've been doing this since 95. I know you started doing baseball for Auburn in 95, but you have been part of the Tigers team broadcasting wise since 95. I'm sorry. And you're from Illinois, correct?
I am.
So you got a little, are you a Chicago Bears guy?
No, I grew up near St. Louis.
Okay. But
I am nothing Chicago.
All right. Nothing. Then this could really hurt you staying impartial with this. So we all remember Bo Jackson, obviously 85 Heisman Trophy winner with Auburn, one of the best football players, college football players, certainly of all time.
40 years ago this season.
Yes. Now we're feeling old, right? Now we're really feeling old. But, okay, a couple seasons after that in the NFL, we saw Bo Jackson run by Brian Bosworth over at the Kingdome on Monday Night Football. People still talk about it. Now, let's pretend that is Baylor's Mike Singletary of the Chicago Bears in his prime. So we got Bo and we got Mike Singletary going head-to-head. Who wins that battle on the goal line? I ask you.
It's hard for me not to say that Bo wins that battle, but I'm not going to try and undercut Mike Singletary because I think he was a much better linebacker than Brian Bosworth. So I think it would have been tougher for Bo, but listen, I'd love to have seen that, quite frankly. I'd love to have seen that matchup because, I mean, we're talking about two of the all-time greats from these schools in Bo Jackson and Mike Singletary. And I was in Illinois when the Bears won the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, the radio station I was working for was a Bears and a Cubs affiliate. Wow. And so it's hard for me. It's hard to say that Bears defense isn't one of the greats of all time. And of course it was anchored in the middle by Mike Singletary.
Yeah. I mean, I like what you said there. Boy, we would love to see that. Some we will get to see is Friday night, August 29th. Auburn in town. The Tigers right now, a 2.5-point favorite on the road against Baylor. That to me, I'm like, wow. You know, I'm like, is there SEC bias? You know, here I am, a Big 12 guy. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. Where is Auburn going into this game expectation-wise? You know, is this the type of game that will serve as the litmus test as to where we are before we go into the SEC conference? Or is this a game that, hey, we need to win this, not only for our, college football playoff hopes, but for our fan base?
I think it's the latter. This is Auburn's first true road game to open a season since opening at USC in 2002.
Wow.
Now, Auburn has played several openers in neutral site games, and the last being in 2019 when Auburn went to Arlington and beat Oregon. But Auburn has not played a true road game to open the season since 2002 at USC. So this is uncharted territory for everybody involved in this. But I think this is a very important game for Auburn. After the 29th against Baylor, Auburn comes home to face Ball State and then South Alabama. And then from game 4 until mid-November, it's nothing but the Southeastern Conference for Auburn. And it opened, that stretch of play opens with back-to-back road games at Oklahoma, which is expected to be much better than it was a year ago, and Texas A&M. And that team is expected to be better than it was a year ago. Auburn then has an off date, and then Georgia comes to town. Both Georgia and Alabama play at Auburn this season. I think, and this is me, I think that opening game, as far as momentum, as far as confidence is concerned, that opener against Baylor is very, very important for this Auburn team. Auburn was disappointed in year 2 under Hugh Freeze. And I think the expectations going into last year were very, very high, and it just didn't happen. Auburn lost some really close games to Cal and Arkansas and Oklahoma and Vanderbilt and Missouri. And Auburn wins 2 or 3 of those games, and the outlook going into this season is vastly different than it is right now. So with all that said, I think this opener at Baylor is very, very important.
In the eye of the storm for Auburn is going to be Jackson Arnold. That's why I love talking to guys like you because of your wealth of experience, but also your proximity to the program right now. What kind of progress has Jackson Arnold made this offseason?
Well, Jackson was here for spring ball, and that's very, very important, I think, for Auburn. And I thought he had a good spring. He's had a very good fall camp for Auburn. And listen, I mean, he's trying to restart his career after a disappointing time at Oklahoma. And you can talk about all the reasons that it did not go well for him at Oklahoma and why he is at Auburn right now. But he has all the tools needed. And in the first month and a game for Jackson Arnold, considering what he has, he returns to his home state for the opener against Baylor, right? Because he's from Denton. He goes on the road to Oklahoma, where he transferred from, and then he's back in his home state again at Texas A&M. So there is a great deal of proving ground for Jackson Arnold before Auburn gets to its open date. And then, oh, by the way, Georgia comes a-calling in early October.
It's emotional, too, for a young man. I would imagine that would be a roller coaster. Now, you're talking about a quarterback of his makeup, so it's nothing he can't handle. But that will be an interesting stretch of time for him, I would have to imagine.
No question, and I can't imagine what that's going to be like for him. I mean, the emotion that goes into playing 2 games in your home state, and the 1 game you're not playing in your home state on the road, you're going back to the school that you left to come to Auburn. One thing about Jackson Arnold in this season is the wide receiver room that he is throwing to right now, with the likes of Cam Coleman and Bryce Kane and Horatio Fields and Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson, and then Eric Singleton, who transferred in from Georgia Tech. This is as good a wide receiver room as Auburn has had, I believe, as far as depth is concerned, the deep threat, team speed out of the slot, maybe since 2004 when Auburn went undefeated with the likes of Ben Obamanu and Devin Aroma-Shadu and Courtney Taylor and Anthony Mix. I believe this wide receiver room is that talented and maybe even a little bit deeper than it was on that 04 team that went undefeated at Auburn.
If Auburn is to recapture, some of the magic that we saw in 21 years ago in 2004, if they're going to surprise people this year in the SEC, why would they surprise people? What's going to be the biggest reason?
Well, if Auburn's successful, it's going to surprise people because very few are giving Auburn an opportunity to take the step forward that this team is looking for. So if Auburn wins this year and wins at the rate that it needs to, I think it will surprise many. I think this. A year ago, Peyton Thorne had this wide receiver room, albeit many of them were freshmen that played for Auburn. But Auburn was banged up, and Auburn just wasn't very good on the offensive line a year ago. Auburn has talent up front for Auburn. And I think that's one of the big difference. I think this is Auburn's best offensive line in a number of years. And frankly, it needs to be because it was an area that was lacking for the Tigers in years past. But the middle three of Connor Lew, Dylan Wade, and Jeremiah Wright are all veterans. They're all back. That's your two guards and a center. And then Auburn went to the transfer portal for its tackles. Mason Murphy from USC on the right side, and the blind side guy is Xavier Chaplin, who transferred in from Virginia Tech. Those guys need to play at the level that we believe that they have the talent for up front. From an offensive standpoint, I think it all starts, and this is not earth-shattering news here, but it all starts for Auburn up front. Those guys have to produce. Those guys have to give Jackson Arnold time to throw the football and open up the holes to Auburn's run game this season.
It's always scary for an opponent when you hear, hey, like, what's the strength of the team you're going to play? You know, what's their strength? When somebody says up front, offensive line, that's scary, man. I mean, that's a great sign for Auburn, because you can talk about the bells and whistles all you want, the wide receivers and how sexy that room has gotten. But if you can't move guys around up front, right, then you're not going to win. So that's huge. I want to ask you about Hugh Freeze. You mentioned third year for the Hugh Freeze era. What kind of fingerprints of his now are on this program? Year 3 is big year for culture. All that stuff is supposed to be settled in, right? Even with the turnover now in college football. Where are his fingerprints on this team and this program right now?
Well, it starts with the recruiting, because they've had 2 top 10 recruiting classes coming into this season. And they brought in guys like Cam Coleman and Bryce Kane and Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson, just let alone from that wide receiver room. Auburn has, done very, very well from a recruiting standpoint in the 2 years. And those guys are now playing very important minutes for Auburn. So I would say first and foremost, it's the recruiting for this Auburn team. In the midst of NIL, which seems to change daily, the rules and all the regulations that go into that. I do think he has beefed up the offensive line, one, and he has drastically beefed up that wide receiver room, too, from an offensive standpoint. And that is, especially that wide receiver room, is what he has been known for, among things, in his years at Liberty, in his years at Ole Miss. So that's where I think first and foremost for this Auburn team. But listen, the expectations, as I mentioned, going into year number 2 last year, were at an all-time high, I think, for Auburn. And it turned into a disappointing season. So I think there is still a little bit of a wait and see what this Auburn ball club is going to do. I believe that Auburn's talent level is the best that it's been in his 3 years at Auburn. But I thought last year's talent level was the best that we've seen in years, and it did not produce. Auburn has to be able to produce, and it all starts on the 29th in Waco, Texas.
Couple more for you. Andy Burchham, voice of the Tigers, Talking Tigers podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We know Hugh Freeze can recruit, right? And you just illustrated that, really supported that. Has there been a pretty cool recruiting story that you have heard so far since Hugh Freeze has been at Auburn?
I don't know if it's a Hugh Freeze recruiting story. It's an Auburn recruiting story. Was talking with the general manager of recruiting at Auburn for an upcoming podcast, the Talking Tigers podcast, Kenyatta Watson. And we were talking about getting kids on campus, getting student athletes, regardless of football, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, so it doesn't matter. Get them on this campus. And that's a story that you hear over and over, including Hugh Freeze and back to Tommy Tuberville and Coach Pat Dye. I mean, talking about 2 of the legends at Auburn. But he really brought up a very interesting fact. He said, if we can get kids on campus, student athletes, young men, however you want to call them, if we can get them here 3 times, watch out. And he's talking about a summer camp. He's talking about an official visit. He's talking about games here. If they can get them here 3 times, they feel like they have a legitimate shot to land anybody. And Auburn has turned some big name players in the past under Hugh Freeze. There's a graphic a lot of times that will go out from Hugh Freeze's first few months on campus when Auburn is able to get a commitment, and it's the Auburn fans know, but it is one of those, and may have been one of the very first. It may have been DeMarcus Riddick Auburn, one of Auburn's inside linebackers. When Auburn flipped DeMarcus Riddick, just Hugh Freeze's genuine reaction, and that was recorded. And now you see that over and over. So that's one of those. But listen, I'm sure it's the same way in Waco. I'm sure it's the same way in Lawrence, Kansas. You get kids on this campus and you show them the Auburn campus, and you show them the family that is here at Auburn. I do think that is a legitimate selling point, at least here on the Plains.
So you were on the call in that Iron Bowl, right? The historic one where
that was not me. No, that was Rod Bramblett, the legendary Rod Bramblett.
So Rod Bramblett was on that call. You were working with the broadcast team,
correct?
At that time.
Yes.
So during that game, was that the most special moment for you at Jordan-Hare?
Well, and here I've got to be honest with you because I wasn't there. I did women's basketball at Auburn for 31 years.
Yeah.
And they were playing a tournament in Las Vegas. Okay.
Because it was Thanksgiving weekend, right? It was
yes, it was Thanksgiving weekend. We were in Las Vegas. We were getting ready to play, I believe, Iowa State at a casino rodeo arena is what it was. And I'm watching the game. My wife is flying back from Vegas to Auburn on a flight, and I'm able to text her what's going on because she didn't have TVs on the plane back in 2013. And I'm texting her, and there's an Alabama fan, as it turns out, sitting to her right. She was on the window, and he's kind of trying to look over her shoulder because there's no TVs. And when I told her what had happened, and then, of course, later heard Rod's legendary call, it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest call in the greatest finish in sports history, in my opinion. She turned to the Alabama fan sitting to her right and said, "Do you want to know?" And he said, "They ran back the field goal, didn't they?" And she said, "Yes." And he just put his hands down on his tray. And she didn't even try to provide solace for him at that point. But it's one of the great plays ever, period. And Rod's call is impeccable of that game. And remember, it was 2 weeks after the prayer at Jordan-Hare, the tipped ball against Georgia.
Yes.
So Rod has two of the iconic calls in Auburn history in a 2-week span at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
It's such a cool story, and I appreciate you providing context on that, and being so humble when you share that story. One more question for you. What are you most excited for? Most excited for this Auburn Tigers team this season?
Well, I'm excited about the potential of this offense. I'm also excited to see how this secondary especially responds this year. I mean, a year ago, Auburn played a lot of freshmen. They had to because of injuries. They had to because they were, frankly, the best players that they had in the secondary. And freshmen and sophomores that played a year ago, very important minutes for Auburn, are now sophomores and juniors. And I think they're poised to take a huge step forward. And they're going to get an enormous test in game one. I mean, an offense that features Ashton Hawkins and Kobe Prentice, and all those transfers in for Baylor. And then you've got a quarterback that's back. I mean, a guy that threw for 3,000 yards a year ago with 28 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions in Sawyer Robertson. So how does this secondary react to the aerial attack of Baylor? And what does Auburn's offense do against a Baylor defense that I love the inside linebackers for Baylor. So there are so many question marks going into this game. And I am thrilled that I'll be able to be there in Waco and call that game on a Friday night. Auburn doesn't play Friday night football games. So this will be our first I can't remember Auburn playing a Friday night game unless it was a bowl game in December or January.
Oh, hey, one more for you. How overblown was that golfing stuff with Coach Freeze? That to me was such a product of. Well, I just want to hear your take on that. Nobody cares.
Well, I mean, he likes to play golf. He's a really good golfer, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I felt like, Andy. They're penalizing for being good at golf.
Right. You walk into his office and he's got some trophies.
Yeah.
Back there on his office, but yeah, I think it was blown out of proportion. He likes to play golf. That's the time of the year he gets to play golf. He's going to play golf. I think it was also in a time where Auburn wasn't exactly landing recruits at that point. Matter of fact, lost a couple recruits during that time. So I think it all just kind of built to a crescendo. But that's what Hugh does. Hugh likes to play golf. He likes to play golf with his wife. He gets to spend quality time with his wife on the golf course. Now, I'd be surprised if he's out there playing today. Matter of fact, he isn't. They're practicing right now. So I might be a little more concerned if he were playing golf all the time. But when is he going to play golf?
Yeah. No, that's,
you know what I'm
saying? Dude, I know what you're saying. I love that answer. And I appreciate your time. Andy Burchham, I got a game Thursday night at Houston before the Baylor game. So I'm going to run up and say hey to you that Friday night if I get a chance. I cannot wait for this game, and we look forward to having you in Waco.
Well, I look forward to it. I've already been in contact with John Morris about the and I've known him for quite some time.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact. But looking forward, I have been to Waco twice before, both with women's basketball in the postseason. Okay. I look forward to seeing the relatively new stadium. Auburn fans are pumped about coming to Waco for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this game on a Friday night. But I look forward to meeting you, Pete, in person. I appreciate your time today.
All right, Andy. Thank you so much, man. Take care. Safe travels.
My pleasure. Take care. War Eagle.
Andy Burcham, the voice of the Tigers, baby. Great to have him on. And, man, it can't get here fast enough, man. It can't get here fast enough. But for now, we have to say goodbye. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovakics. Scotty has to do something else. He's like, I got to get out of here right at 11. And we get Andy Burcham, the legendary Andy Burcham. We take him all the way up to the limit. And we are really looking forward to the college football season. But Scotty's got to go, so I got to go. I got to run now over to the dorm room and bring a mallet, right? Because we're moving here in Rochester, New York, getting people situated to start off their college journeys. And I'm looking forward to getting back over there. But thank you guys for watching today. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovakics. One more day on the road tomorrow, and we will be back in studio on Wednesday. For now, have a great day.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We love definitely.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.